So right now we only have bars, we do not have a number. So it's probably a good idea to add a label, okay, like if you bring in number of records to label. All right. So this adds value to the effectiveness of the bar chart, because now you're able to tell how many records there are in each bar, right? Okay, so you can increase the width in this way. Okay. Now sometimes it will be beneficial to move this number inside the bar. Okay. So that would free up some white space here, and that's a little involved process. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But first, now we're going to do this using what is called reference lines. Okay. So let's look at what reference lines are. So if you go to analytics, right, then you have all kinds of lines that you can add. So you can add a constant line, or an average line, or a median, and so on and so on. So here is our reference lines. Okay. So let's try some of these. So if you have a constant line, when you click, hold, and drag it into, then when you drag it into the visualization, you will find a new window popping up. I'll tell you, it'll give you options where what kind of reference line you want. Okay. Now for a constant line, so there is only one option, table. So you drop it there, and then you can specify a value, and we will see later on using parameters how to change the line. Okay. So it may be useful for on an interactive basis, move the line up or down to see how many bars fall below or fall above and things like that. So this is a constant line. So you provide the number, and then at that value the line will appear. Okay. So now we don't want that. Now average line, so when you bring in average line, it gives you three different options. You can have table average, so which means it's an average of everything. Okay, let's try that. Okay, so that's your average, and it gives you average here, and you can take a look at what the average is by highlighting, and we will talk more about this a little later. So this is the average line for the entire chart, right? Or we can have average line for the pane. So which means for each pane, so that is each category. For furniture, that's the average, right? For office supplies, that's the average. For technology, that's the average. So the average line is now, a separate average is calculated for each section, and then you have the average there. All right. Now if you bring in the average to cell, then what happens? So in each cell, it's going to find the average. Right. In the case of pane, you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 values, and the 5 values were averaged, and the average line was drawn. In the case of table, you had what? That and that and that. Okay, 15 different values, and Tableau calculates the average of all the 15, and then you have a single line. Now in the case of cell, okay, how many values are there in this cell? Just one, and the average is that value. The average of one value is itself. So that's the reason why the cell reference line are all exactly at the end of the bar. So in this case, cell average has no meaning. Okay, it doesn't add any value to our graph, but it so happens, but this is what we're going to use to bring the number inside. So it's kind of a trick. So what we will do, okay, and we can do the same with this also. Okay, so let's not worry about this right now. We'll talk about this later. So let's go ahead and remove the label from here. We don't want the label to come from this label bar, right? So we remove that. Okay, so all we have are these reference lines. So if you right click here, okay, so this is another way of adding the reference line. You can go to analytics and bring in the reference line, or you could right click the axis and then add a reference line, or remove a reference line, or edit a reference line. So we're going to edit the reference line. All right. So here the label, okay, so we're going to say label is value. So now the sum of records, which is what we used for label explicitly, now we're using the same number from the reference line. So we get the same label using this, and then we can remove the line, so this line will get dropped off, right? Okay, so the line is gone. All right. All right, so now click OK, I think. So now reference line label alignment, we want this left aligned. Okay, if you left align, then the labels come to the left of the reference line. Okay, so the reference line, we're all here at the end of the bar, right? So when you say left, the number goes to the left of the reference line, but there is still some kind of shading there, which is not really nice. So here, change the shading to 0. Okay. So now the shading is gone, but the font is not really nice, because your bars are dark and your font, the numbers are dark as well. So, oh, this is shading. Okay, no, we don't want shade. All right. So font. Okay, here is font, and you change the font to white. Okay. There is one more little thing that we can do. Again, going back to alignment. Okay, so we did the horizontal alignment to the left of the reference line. Now we can change the vertical. Okay, it looks like the numbers are kind of at the bottom, so we can make it kind of at the center or to the top. So I think center is better. Okay. Okay, let's try one other thing. Suppose we bring in average to the pane, right? And edit reference line. Okay, there are two of them, both average. Okay, so this one is the new one. The previous one, the label would have been value, right? There is a way of editing that, but well, let's not. I'm going to get back.